You are watching and listening to Chris and LTiDtv on YouTube and your favourite podcasts.
Right, Chris.
Alrighty. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, hello, or wherever you are in the world. One of those will apply to you. This is LTiDtv1 from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us live on YouTube. If you are watching us and via your favourite podcast platform, whatever that may be, if you are tuning in just to listen to us. Don't know why you wouldn't want to look at the three beauties that you can have on your screen today, but there we go. Join in with the show, the chat, you know what to do. Just join in, keep it respectful, and we'll put up as many comments and maybe if the questions, put them to Kate and Craig as well. If you're watching on catch up, thank you very much. Stick your comments below. We're always interested in reading them. And if they are a little bit disrespectful, we just ignore them. So it's up to you. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. Please also smash the likes button. Click the notification bell so that you never miss another show. And why not become a member? £1.99 a month. I mean, you couldn't even get half a pint for that. $1.99 a month. Details below on YouTube as well. Say a few hellos before we get going. Wayne, good evening. How are you? John is in as well. And Luke has come in to laugh at us. And evening, Luke. How are you as well? Right. Okay. Yes. We're going to have to talk about it. What happened? We got the team that we wanted. All right. Maybe Kate didn't want Indeedy. But apart from that, I mean, it was pretty much when you looked at that team that was announced for Saturday, and his hand may have been forced, but it was the team we all wanted. And it all went wrong, didn't it? Well, let me tell you something. Kate and Craig were both there. So they are going to explain to us what went wrong and what can be done to put it right. I mean, Harry Potter might help, or somebody like that. We've got Kate in. Kate, who's a fan of a bit of sloppiness. And if you want to believe me, do check out her fan's voice on bbc.lcfc. She likes this. In fact, she's had regular sloppiness this season. And, of course, Craig, who likes a bit of cow music. All will be explained, I'm sure. This is this is Leicester. This is a show where my teeth aren't working, but it is also Let's Talk Leicester, and let's do it. Hello, you two. How the devil are you?
Very well, thanks, Chris.
Good. Have you got your slippers, Kate?
I have, yeah. Sorry, I needed to just do a quick dash there to get my slippers, and they're just so fluffy. Can you see?
Nice.
If
I'm
anybody,
a granny. I'm such a granny. I just can't stand cold feet. It drives me insane.
if there's anybody watching tonight's show who's got a foot fetish, I think you've just had a treat, so please do subscribe.
That looks like the honey monster's foot.
Well, hey, I'm not saying what everybody's into. I mean, some people might like a little bit of a hairy woman.
Very true.
Who knows?
You kicked the ball better than a few of our players anyway on Friday night.
Well, I'm guessing you weren't too impressed, nor it seems with you, Craig, and your cow music. Look, you both went, didn't you? Let's start with Craig. This was the team we wanted, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we talked about it last week on the show with with the standing. You know, yes. Obviously nowhere near the levels that Kate brings.
I must admit, though, I did think Kate looked rather nice with a beard.
Well, this is true. Maybe that's part of it.
Age thing, Chris. Don't knock it.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, it's the team most fans wanted. I think again, give or take one player, maybe. But and I've heard everybody since saying how bad we were. But I think we need to keep that in perspective, that we were bad and pretty bad in the second half. First half, a couple of mistakes, but overall, the first half performance wasn't too bad, to be honest. And it was as close to a return to Enzo ball as we've had all season.
Okay, I mean, we talked briefly post-match, and in that first half, I was really enjoying the game. I thought it was actually a good advert for Premier League football. You wouldn't have looked at that and said that one team was near the bottom and one team was doing very well. But I don't know you necessarily saw it that way.
No, I did. I really enjoyed the first half. I thought it had a bit of everything, to be honest. It was quite a spicy first half. It was high intensity. It was really fast paced as well. Yeah, it was a good advert. I think it would have been a good watch for the neutrals as well. Personally, I felt that Forest edged it the first half. A couple of sloppy bits from us, obviously the goal, and then Mads making that really good save. But yeah, it was a really promising first half. It was great to see Ricardo back. Great to see him drop into that inverted position. And I thought Winks just looked back to his best and what we know he's capable of during that first half, really. But the second half was a little bit different.
We had, I mean, let's look at something positive, first of all, Craig, before we get completely depressed. Our goal, what a good team goal it was, though.
Oh, it was excellent. And you know what? If Arsenal had scored that, we'd still be seeing it all week. The fact was, it didn't even get a mention on Match of the Day, you know. But it was. Sorry, Kate.
I've not watched Match of the Day, so I keep meaning to. I've not had time. It's not even mentioned.
It was there, but it didn't mention it. No, not at all. It was all focused on Forest and on our mistakes, which is fair enough because we did manage to create enough mistakes to fill a program. But that goal was proper old Maresca ball, I guess, if you want to call it that. But played through the middle of the pitch, passed and followed the pass. You know, it was a great goal. There wasn't enough of those moments where we got in round the back and caused them enough trouble.
Kate, we can't. I mean, the second half, it all went downhill. I mean, in fairness, all three of their goals was probably down to individual errors, but we can't blame Cooper for that, can we? I mean, when I was doing the watch along, the comments were starting with a sort of 2 or 3 minutes left to play. Cooper out, and he's had his chance, and all this, but none of those. All right, we can talk about substitutions, etc., in a minute, but those actual mistakes, as a manager, you've got no control over those, have you?
No, not at all. Personally, I felt that second half, the thread of it was a lack of focus and concentration, which suggests there was a distraction there because they're focused and concentrating on something else. And that was why some of the mistakes were made, like Branner not realising he was smothered in the penalty box, then Woot not realising that he was going to let it bounce, Coley not covering him properly, Madison not coming out, and then obviously Winks and Fatawu getting mixed up and looking a bit asleep. So there was just constant lack of concentration and focus and silly errors as a result of it. And it wasn't just the errors that resulted in goals. There was errors consistently through that second half. And there's not a lot you can do about that as a manager. Yet that's where I think we're lacking someone on the pitch to just grab it by the scruff of the neck a bit and almost hold people to account on the field of play. Because once they pass the white line, like Cooper's job's done for the, apart from substitutions, his job is done apart from drinks breaks and stuff where he can perhaps have a quick word in your ear. So, his hands were tied for a lot of that second half, really.
I want to quote you this, Kate, and you'll probably recognise it. If the players cannot do the basics right, then you become the reason for your own downfall. Do the simple things well and greater things will follow.
That's me.
It is. That is you. There were your closing words from your blog today. But it's true, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about Premier League players or even Championship players.
International players.
Yeah, you should not be making those mistakes, should you, surely?
I mean, the Woot one is Sunday League stuff. In fact, I think that's probably insulting to Sunday League. It's schoolboy stuff that you taught to not let it bounce. It was just a hopeful ball over the top from the keeper, and it was just an absolute disaster. Like, I just sat back against the wall. You just didn't know what to make of it, did you, Craig? Like, it was just a dismay and an embarrassment, and there's no excusing for that. And Woot's, I felt all second half, Woot went wandering. His concentration was not there, and we were caught short a few times, and that didn't help Ricardo when he was in possession in the inverted role. If Woot came wandering and then there was a quick turnover of possession. But yeah, if you don't do the basics right, you've got no hope.
It says here, and this was not Kate, this was Matt Piper. And this has been, if I had £1 for every time that this was written or somebody said this about Leicester, we've said it many, many times, but the headline that he's written is, do Foxes need a nasty leader?
Yeah. There isn't anyone, is there? There isn't anyone. Occasionally they show a flash of anger, but they tend to show it to each other, not the opposition, you know. And I can understand it. It's a bit more difficult these days because, you know, referees will book you for anything. I think if you look at somebody the wrong way, you'll probably get a yellow card these days. But there's not.
Watson, bloody hell.
Yeah, but there's not that grit and desire that you see. You know, I watched it, and sadly, sometimes I watch it and I think they don't really care. They don't care as much as the fans care, and that leads to that sloppiness. You know, for me, there's a lack of decisiveness in decision making and a lack of confidence. A lack of confidence to receive the ball under pressure, a lack of confidence to give the ball to someone who may be under a little bit of pressure, and a lack of decisiveness of when you're receiving the ball, you should already know what you're going to do with it. You should be thinking 1-2 steps ahead. That's the best. At this level, most players should be capable of doing that. And to me, it didn't look like that at all. There was enough times where, particularly in the first half, that the ball was played into the gap like they wanted to with Ricardo and Winks there, and they could have easily turned. I thought, what would Maddison do in exactly the same spot? He'd be on the half turn and would be on the attack. Those two players look backwards or look sideways. They don't receive the ball in the right place. So if you're playing that kind of football, you've got to have someone who's comfortable receiving it on the half turn. Now, if that means you've got to play one less defensive player, or you've got to drop one Enotti back, or an Alves or someone who you can play it to, then you need to do it, because otherwise creating all that space and that opportunity to play that slide ball through for it just to come back is pointless. So they need to be more confident to turn. Whether they're not talking to each other, I don't know, but it's that lack of decisiveness and lack of confidence to me that is at the root of what's going wrong at the minute, particularly in that second half.
Okay, bear with me. I just want to stick with the point that Craig picked up there and refer it back to the Southampton game. You were saying, like, no confidence, I think it was, Craig. Players didn't look interested. I can remember watching that Southampton game, and I mean, it was like turning this one on its head, because it was the first half that was awful there, and looking at Jamie Vardy, who just seemed to be stood there with his hands on his hip, and just whether he didn't know what to do or couldn't be bothered, I don't know. And it actually made me say at half time, is Cooper losing the dressing room? And of course, then that second half came out, and it was all like, yeah, really, you know, they're back and they're fighting for him and all this. Is there a problem developing, do you think?
I think looking at body language, there's a suggestion. And the body language, I mean people like Winks a bit, like who else was I going to say? Vardy potentially. JJ, I was going to say the main one is JJ for me. I think body language wise and temperament wise, I feel like that he hasn't got total buy-in of his methods and tactics, which is a real issue. So I feel there is a disconnect. I wouldn't go as in to say he's lost the dressing room, but there's definitely a disconnect. And it's probably the frustration that he seems to have come in and dismantled the things that were working last year when you have roughly the same personnel. And that's quite difficult to then get players on side. We talked about him a few weeks ago having maybe imposter syndrome. You're walking into this band of brothers. You haven't sacked the previous manager. You've lost him to another club. He's gone to another job. So it's a different proposition for Cooper coming in. He wasn't coming in off the back of a sacking with a really disgruntled dressing room. He came into a very happy dressing room, and I don't think he's done so well at continuing that on. And he does look like there's a few players out there that look a bit exasperated, and JJ is definitely one of them, because we know that JJ isn't rubbish, but he's having a torrid season because things aren't being addressed in front of him, and his own performance as well. But he's putting him under unnecessary pressure, and it seems to be a rinse and repeat with every match that passes.
Craig, Kate said there, dismantle what worked last season, but did it have to be dismantled? Because, I mean, I actually think that had we still got Enzo playing Enzo ball, I think we'd be in the same situation as Southampton, because basically that's what they are doing. Now, it's kind of working or starting to work with Chelsea, but no disrespect to Leicester players. The standard of players at Chelsea are a lot better than we've got at Leicester, and probably it would work there. So did it not need dismantling?
I don't think it did. I think it needed tweaking to just make ourselves a little bit tighter, a little bit stronger. But you know, you make the comparison with Southampton, but I would take our squad over Southampton's every day of the week, to be honest. I think we've got better players. I think we've got better technical players. What worries me is I don't see any hunger from these players. You know, we used to be well known for buying players who either had something to prove, who were really ambitious. So they were playing for something. Every time they stepped on the pitch, they were playing for something, whether it's a new contract, whether it's a move to a bigger club, whatever it is, whether it's just to show everybody else that they're not finished. I don't see that hunger with these players. I wonder what the ambition is with some of them, whether they're just happy being Premier League players and are not striving to get back. Winks should be striving to get back to a bigger club. He should be striving to get back into the England team. Some of those other players should be striving for moves to bigger clubs. But I don't see it. I don't see the hunger. And that comes from, as I say, and that manifests itself in that decisiveness, in that confidence, in that I'm going to roll my sleeves up, and if I need to get a booking, I'm going to do it, because I'm not going to be played around. I'm going to clatter someone, and I'm going to get the crowd going. And I don't think the players use the home crowd enough. It used to be a couple of good tackles and the crowd were up, you know. And again, I don't see that. I understand, you know, you're going to get booked, blah, blah, blah. But I just don't see that hunger, desire, confidence. And I do have, sadly, real doubts about Cooper, about whether he can bring that out. He strikes me as a nice bloke who's probably a good coach at a younger level. I hear him every time I hear him interviewed. There's nothing precise or decisive. It's all very much waffle about, well, yeah, we need to keep focused. We can't look backwards. We've got to go forward. All the same drivel that any of us could put out there, to be fair. We'd probably be a bit more erudite in what we'd said about it. But I'm not hearing anything that breeds confidence, which is a little bit worry. And you'll probably get onto this later on. But his biggest weakness is his in-play tactical and nous and substitutions. That's where it really follows. Nunes made a change at halftime to nullify us, and we didn't do anything. We didn't do anything to try and turn the tide of that game, and then exacerbated by the mistakes that we made, and we were chasing it.
Kate, something that Craig said there, buying players with something to prove or something ambitious. I was reading a thing today. It may well have been on the Mercury, but they were saying that if we'd gone for younger, hungry players and we'd struggled, then it would have been thrown at us that there was no experience there, that, you know, we needed to come up with more experienced players. We've got those experienced players. Skip, and he's still young, so he's got something to play for. But Dakova Reed, Ayew, I mean, this is Ayew's last club, isn't it? So he's just, he wanted a 2-year contract at Fulham where he was. Was it Fulham or Palace? I can't remember.
Palace.
Fulham, wasn't it? Yeah. He wanted a 2-year. They wouldn't give him one because he wanted 3. Palace wouldn't. God, here I go. Fulham wouldn't do it. We gave him a 3-year contract. Like Craig said, is he here just playing his contract down, if you like, playing to retirement? Do you remember when we were in the second tier? Not last season. I think it was it was just before Holloway joined us. Who's got a new club? You may have seen. He's just joined Swindon. We were getting all these ex-players. I think we had Keith Gillespie, we had Celeste Ferdinand. Good players, but all past their prime. We were like a Derby and Jones club. And are we in danger of it turning out the same now?
No, I don't think so. I think the situation that presented in the summer with the transfer window being heavily restricted is part of why we hired and recruited those people. So I understand you do need some old heads because it provides the maturity. Unfortunately, the maturity didn't show through on Friday night. But I've got no qualms with the age of player that we bought. It's not an issue for me. And if they happen to be squad players, then so be it. But I think more so it's the fact that there's an entitlement across some of the players. Like for me, I think Fass thinks he is better than he actually is. And that arrogance and entitlement has actually led to his own mistakes. And I think he thinks he commands that back line, and he absolutely doesn't. He gives me the heebie-jeebies, and I think he's a poor man's Soyuncu at times, to be honest. So it's fine margins in the game, isn't it? It's fine margins, and it's always about making the right decisions. And we made so many poor decisions in that second half as a team and as individuals that those players that we've been able to rely on in the past, we just haven't been able to. And it's down, I think it is down to hunger, and it is down to, I think, potentially that they haven't bought into the style of football that they are being asked to play.
The other thing, sorry, Chris, the other thing I would say on that is I agree with you in terms of experience, but experience, if you're not good enough to be in the team, is pointless because you can't influence anything. So, is De Cordova-Reid offering any more than Tom Cannon would have offered? Or Edouard, we haven't seen. Is Ayew offering any more than McAteer would offer? I would say that Ayew's performance off the bench against Forest was one of the worst substitute performances I've ever seen.
I'm glad you said that. I was going to say that.
Because he put him on the left wing and then he can't beat a player. So this is where I have a problem with Cooper, is what's the thought process that goes on thinking, I'm going to take off Mavididi, who isn't having the greatest game, but will keep trying to beat a fullback. And I'm going to put on Ayew, who hasn't got the pace to beat a fullback, hasn't got the trick to beat a fullback. So we'll just get the ball to him. He'll have 5 touches where 2 would do, and then he'll pass it backwards. I don't understand the thought process on this is how we're going to get back in the game. And what happens is you buy these older players and then you feel the need or almost like a sense of, well, I've bought you, so I've got to at least put you on the bench, which stops the likes of McAteer and those younger players. Alves has been nowhere near even getting a bench spot. So what you're doing, you're buying experience to sit on the bench and they block your own younger players from developing. You do need a balance, but those players have got to be good enough to play. Otherwise, it's pointless.
Kate, good points there. But Kate, agreeing with Craig, which I find myself in strange waters here, but if Cooper's going to buy experience and Ayew is experienced, look, we see he's got 2 amazing goals for us, So why is he sticking him out on the wing? Like you say, you need speed on the wing. And yes, Ayew is going to be very, very good at holding the ball up and getting you a free kick if needed and slowing the game down and breaking the game up when you need it. But you can't just do that on the wing. That's not the job of a winger, is it?
No, not at all. And Ayu's not the type of player that you bring on, like Craig said, to take the game to them and try and gather some momentum. He's the opposite. He's probably when you're under the cosh and you need a sensible head in that side of the park. I think Ayu's had an okay season so far. Obviously, his goal against Southampton will live long in the memory, but he was exceptionally poor on Friday night. And I don't know whether it's because it's an evening game or whether he didn't like where he was playing or whether Forest
That's his bedtime. We should have had his slippers on, AK.
You do hear that players don't like playing at different times. So I don't know. I don't know what the reason was for such a hellish performance, but I completely agree with Craig. The Mavadidi substitution was quite baffling because although he hadn't had a good game, if anything was going to happen, it was probably going to come from his side of the pitch because Fatawu wasn't doing very well. He was outnumbered consistently because he kept cutting inside. And as Forest was defending so narrowly, I don't know why he kept cutting inside when he can show that he went round the outside against Southampton and he just kept running into trouble. But so Mavadidi was kind of the main outlet, and Jordan Ayew is not an outlet in that position at all. It was a head against wall moment, and I'm not sure. Again, that does him no favours in the dressing room with that. It does him no favours in the dressing room with that because I don't know what the plan was or what was the question for that to be the answer. And the same with Samare. Goodness me, Samare.
We will come on to Samari soon, believe you me. He's going to have a section all to
what's
himself.
the question he's written down and thought that those players are the answers? Yeah. That was the mind-boggling part of the second half.
I'm dreading coming to that, but we will unfortunately have to come to it. Craig, Terry says there, and it's a good point, Bournemouth, Southampton papering over the cracks. Now normal service has resumed. Sorry to be negative, but I remember the same happened when Rodgers was here. You go into this match against, look, it was the Cooper Derby, the East Midlands Derby, whatever you want to say. That's why it was on the TV. Friday night under the lights, great atmosphere. Did we go in, and I asked this of Tom yesterday, so it'd be interesting to see what your thoughts are. It's not like we've gone in on the back of 2 wins, but Bournemouth were holding on, and Bournemouth, had they had the shooting boots on, could probably have taken that. Southampton, we were bloody lucky. We got out of jail with that one. So it wasn't like we'd gone into this game on top form, was it?
No, we hadn't. And as I said, it was almost, even afterwards, people, as I say, coming out saying Cooper's got to go, this, that and the other, purely based on this bias that it was Forest, like Forest should be a struggling team that we should always beat. Yeah. Not a team who's in the top 6. I'm going to say, change the name of Forest to Spurs or Newcastle, nobody would have come away with the same thought process, or not as bad.
We did bad. I'm so glad you said that because A, that was my next question, but B, I agree 100%. Forest, you've got to give them the respect, and look, they deserve the win. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, you've got teams that are around Forest who went up to 5th after beating us. They've got Brighton, they've got Spurs, you've got Chelsea, all around there. I think it would have been quite a bitter pill to swallow if it hadn't been Forest.
They've lost once and they've won away at Liverpool as well. So, let's get it a little bit in perspective, even though we were very poor. I'm of the opinion now that Cooper has got one job at this club, and it's a 1-season job, and it's keep us up, and that's it. Because I cannot believe that this is a manager who can take us forward. I think, because we've got goals in us, we may get through on it, but it is definitely papering over some cracks. And I don't feel the players believe in him. He's probably a really nice bloke and they can have a laugh and a joke and put their arm around each other and joke about things. I strongly believe that once that injury to Christensen was made, that I'm not going to say the players are picking the team, but I probably am. Because I think that they are starting to exert more of an influence over what's going on at that club, that this is the way they want to play. This is where they want those players playing. And I think Cooper is in a bit of a power battle going on behind the scenes for me.
Kate, I'm just writing these things down as we speak. You're making too many good points today, both of you.
I thought you were writing my name down for a minute. I was going to say, how long have we known each other?
Not at all, Brad. Not at all. He's just said then, this is the way the players want to play. And I said at the start of the season, I've said it a couple of times, you know, when Ranieri took over, Craig Shakespeare was there to say, you can't play him there. It's stupid. It won't work. And Cooper hasn't got that because all of Enzo's staff went with him. So maybe he's trying to experiment. But if a player isn't happy playing in a particular place and he wants to play in a better place because you know he's not going to be very good at that, isn't that in a way a bit of a good thing?
Yes, I suppose so. I think that kind of general point is, you could say it about quite a lot of managers. Like you'll see at the minute, Iosi Perez is pulling up trees because he's actually playing in a central role.
Yes.
We never played him in that role. It's another one that we've let go. So a lot of managers do try and put square pegs in round holes for whatever reason, and sometimes I can't understand it at all. But the idea that the team are starting to pick themselves, I think, is valid. I don't think it's as explicit as that, but I do think there's some kind of, like Craig said, a power battle going on potentially, because because things aren't going well on the pitch. We've not really pulled together more than 45 minutes of good football yet. Things aren't going right, and the same pattern of problems keeps emerging. So when that happens, there has to be a collective discussion and you have to collaborate ideas. And I'm not sure that Cooper's taken a lot on board. Like the exclusion for the full season so far of Ricardo Pereira, when he's been such a linchpin, even before Enzo ball came along, he's been such a linchpin of Leicester City's last 5 years or so. Even with his injuries, he's been able to get back in the first team. And I'm just not sure. I'm not sure that Cooper is sure why he drops him, because he's not come up with a better solution or this identity that people keep talking about. I hate that word, but just a method of play that justifies his exclusion. And it's very frustrating.
He doesn't strike me. Sorry, Chris. Cooper doesn't strike me as having a strong enough character to be able to put his own ideas through and see them through. And I can imagine them sitting in their amphitheatre, looking at past games or whatever, and all the players are piping up saying, well, you know, when last season this worked and we could do that, we could move these players around here. That I can just see Cooper nodding along and getting to a point where it's almost like, okay, have it your way. You know, we'll put that team out. Let's see how that goes. Now, whether he goes again with that or whether he uses it as ammunition to say, right, okay, we did it. It didn't work. We're going back. I don't know. But he doesn't strike me as someone, and I said this when he was appointed, and I've said this when we were looking at managers. Managers have to have an air of authority about them these days, because these are bloody well-paid players who will just go off and get another contract somewhere else. So they need to be led. And I'm not sure that Cooper is a leader.
Vestergaard, by the way, LCFC, I was reading today, is probably going to be in the squad tomorrow, may well even be on the pitch. Whether that's a good thing or not, who knows? Who knows?
But just going up on Craig's point there with the team selection, like, fair enough, VK's injured, so Ricardo kind of had to come in there, his hands forced there, which is completely fine. But it's just interesting that he seems to then only see him as that inverted role. It was quite intriguing to see that he didn't just play him as the traditional right back, which I think later in the second half was actually needed to just protect Fatawu a bit, because Fatawu's awareness was really poor and we kept losing the ball in such stupid areas and unexpectedly that Ricky P couldn't get back because he was in the inverted role, and you can't get back into that right back position as quickly as he needed to. So it was a bit of a mystery as to why he's never played that tactic before until Ricky P's available.
Mm.
And is that where he sees him shoehorned in? Is that the only method he wants to play Ricky P in? That was a bit odd to me.
Craig, I'll come back to you because you said strong. Is he a strong enough character? There's a very thin line, is there not, between being a strong character and being stubborn?
Yeah, and I know where you're going with that.
You know me too well, sir.
Yeah. Yes, and that's why I feel, unless you're elite, I think you have a 3-4 year season max at a club, because players get, if you're not being successful, if you are up there and you're getting European football, it all works. When that stops happening, I think players get bored of the same thing day in, day out, the same diatribe coming from the same voice. And I think there needs to be that turnaround. But you've got to have some air of authority about you to be able to take these players and make these players believe. If it was all just about picking a 1 to 11, then that's fine. We could all probably have a go at that, but it's not. Management is much more about getting into the psyche of players, finding out what makes them tick, to get the best out of them for 98 minutes, as it is these days, every Saturday or Wednesday. They're all professional footballers playing in the Premier League. They're all good enough. No one gets that far without being good enough. It's down to the manager at that point to turn them into a solid unit, a team that allows individuals to develop and build on their own ambitions and fulfill their ambitions by being part of Leicester City. We used to be the team that other coaches wanted their footballers to come to, because they knew they would learn something. They would be playing in a tight unit and they would improve. I'm not sure anybody sends their players to improve, but Buonanotte is the one bright spark, and he's not ours. He's going to go. So it's all just a little bit up in the air for me, and I'm not sure that. I think if we stay up, we'll stumble over the line, and I won't know what we've learned all season to take into the following season.
Joe there, I think, is bursting into song. Wasn't that a song? My, tomorrow. Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. Just a bit of cow music there for you to enjoy. But look, Kate, I want to go through points in the match here. 16 minutes, 1-0 down. I've got here against the run of play, because I did think we'd started reasonably well. You can get away with one player making a mistake. Buonanotte didn't clear the ball properly. But then a second player makes a mistake in the same move, and that was James Justin hitting thin air when he was trying to kick the ball away. Is it just a case of, look, things happen like that in games, and it could happen to anybody?
With the James Justin thing, I don't think you can slaughter JJ for that. Can he do better? Yes, but I think potentially Mads could have done better and moved his feet quicker for the save, potentially. But the massive faux pas there and the humdinger goes to Buonanotte, because that just showed the naivety of youth in that moment right there, that he thinks he's a world beater, and he's not, and no one is, and you have to respect the opposition. And maybe that's why Brighton want him to come to us on loan for a season, because they need him to brush up on his awareness and general all-round play. We know the skills he's got. We know he can score. He's had a tremendous start for us. But you can't be doing that. He's had over 50 games under his belt now in the Premier League. You cannot be doing that. No.
Craig, good point there that Luke made, and I raised this as well on the watch along. During the players coming out of the tunnel, Connor Cody was in deep discussion with Steve Cooper. Connor Cody played under Nuno for quite a while, didn't he?
Yeah, he was at Wolves for quite a while under him. I don't know. I didn't notice that, to be honest. I was probably just seeing who was going to come out and if anything was going to change. But Cody's an interesting one, isn't he? Because he's always there and he's always on the bench and he's never going to come on. I'm not sure what his role is, to be honest. I guess he's just there as backup if there's a bad injury. But I think you were a little kind to JJ there, Kate, to be honest, only because I thought at first when I was at the game, I thought it was a bad bounce and it was difficult for him to deal with, that it came up, it wasn't low, it wasn't high, it just stuck around in the area. And then when I saw it back, I thought, no, you had enough time. And I would, if that ball had bounced in there to Ricardo, I don't think he would have just tried to slash at it. And this comes back to that, having the confidence and the awareness of what's going on around you. And I know it all gets heated, the ball's pinging around, the crowd are up, blah, blah, blah. So I can forgive him a little bit, but I think we do forget that these are professional Premier League players, and just hacking at a ball that's in the box is not acceptable at any time, particularly when you look at it again. There was no one near him. There was no one. His awareness of what was going on around him was zero. And I like JJ. But on that occasion, I'm thinking, where's the composure to just think, okay, I can take a touch here and then I can sling it out. But you're right. Buonanotte was the one. Without that.
But also,
can I just say, I'll just, you two carry on. I think this is going to turn into a family dispute. I'm just going to say, you carry on.
No, but what I was going to say about the JJ thing is, yeah, he maybe should have awareness, but also potentially somebody should tell him in the box that he's got time.
Yeah.
Imagine
no, you're
telling
right.
him he's got time. I think the problem was as well that he tried to clear it with his left foot when it just needed a right foot swing.
Yeah.
But for me, the telling moment and the moment that will stick in my head about why we conceded that goal is because Buonanotte tried to dribble out the area.
100% agree. Yeah, you can't do that, and that's where it all came from. Yeah.
In fact, I think he beat one player, and I thought, oh, hoof it now. And then he tried to beat another one, and I'm like, no. Just hoof it.
But there's underlying things there as well, and this has happened, and I brought this up on many occasions. Where was Jamie? Jamie was probably just standing in between the two centre halves having a chat. Rather, I used to play up front many years ago, obviously, and very often your role was that when the ball was breaking right or left, you went down that side to have an out ball. So there was always an out ball, depending on whichever side it went, whether you were playing up as a 1 or a 2. As a 1, you had to work a bit harder. But when you could see where the play was developing, you're out there and you're offering a ball out. And I don't think he had anything. That's no excuse for trying to
he was a bit
dribble out.
Wasn't he?
Yeah. But he has to work harder than that. And that's been going on for a couple of seasons now. Since Brendan told him to conserve his energy and stop running, he doesn't.
I'm glad to see at the end of the day, Mummy and Daddy are getting on better again.
Of course.
I want to just come to Dave's comment there. Dave is a Nottingham Forest fan. And he said at halftime, the view in the Forest end was this could go either way. And I've got to say, I've written down here 46 minutes. Jamie Carragher, Kate, was comparing us to Manchester City on the TV.
I have no comment about Jamie Carragher.
Is that
I really have no comment. I struggle with him a lot. And some of those comments are just absolutely warped, to be honest.
Was he comparing us that we're both in financial trouble?
We're both playing blue.
I think we were no. Come on now. Don't be.
It's ridiculous.
I heard also
he said it was the way we were playing.
Didn't Gary Neville say that Winks should be in the England squad as well?
He said he looked international in that first half, which I don't disagree with. Like, if you can get that part of Winks to play all the time, he's exactly what England need. But I don't think we were Manchester City-esque. I wouldn't go that far. But we did play some exciting stuff, and it was probably some of our best periods of play of the season. I'm not going to take that away, but I'm just not getting carried away. I mean, Jamie Carragher likes to sensationalise stuff, and that's
his job, I guess,
of that. I don't think it is. It's his job to be a pundit, not sensationalise all the time. But I don't think that was the case. But just Buonanotte needs to do better. And hopefully he'll look back at that and think, oh, flipping it, I won't do that again.
I tell you what, Craig, we should never say that Kate looks nice. She'll throw it right back in her face, won't she?
She always looks nice.
Well, this is why we never say it, because it would just be water off a duck's back, wouldn't it? But I'm certainly not going to now. She'll custard pie it back at me. Half
I just
time.
find it a bit lazy. That's what, it's a bit of a lazy analogy.
No. I love it. Love it. Craig, half time came. And I thought, well, this could, if it carries on, I like Dave said, it could have gone either way. I was thinking it could go our way. It was like having Brendan back, wasn't it? Conceding straight from the kick-off at half time.
Yeah, and again, sloppy from Winks and Fatua not being on the same same level. And sadly, Winks did that quite a lot in that second half. And again, I'll put that down to lack of decisiveness, of knowing what ball he's going to play and making sure that the players are on the same wavelength around them. And it was really disappointing. You thought you were encouraged by that first half, and you thought, right, shooting back down into the cop, second half, we're going to be up for it. And within 90 seconds or whatever, the wind's taken out your sails. But even after that, there was plenty of time to do it. And part of the disappointment was the reaction to that, because I didn't think we really saw one. I remember going back a few years when I think we were up against Man United and they scored one. And we had a reputation for coming back and scoring straight away, because we wouldn't let those goals against sort of affect us. But again, it's a little bit of character and leadership, should I say, that they should be pulled together and say, right, okay, it's a stupid mistake, we've made it right, we've got 46 minutes, 40 whatever to go and put this right. But I'm going to say that they made that tactical change of trying to block that ball into the middle, so Winks and Ricardo couldn't get on the ball, and it forced us to go out to the fullbacks or play around at the back. And the bad side of Enzo ball, Maresca or whatever you want to call it, is that when that happens, there's a tendency to go along the line backwards and forwards until a little gap emerges. So that comes with that kind of football. Once that blockage is made in the middle to go through the middle, we got stuck into that, just moving it a ball around the back. And then it was all very, very predictable. And we made it far too easy for them, to be honest. And it was just all round disappointment from the moment that second goal went in. Fair play to Chris Wood. It was a great goal. Probably Akoli, I thought, was having a decent game up to that point. And it only takes that bit, that sort of being half a yard off, and that was enough.
I was going to ask about that next goal in a minute. But, no, Brad, thank you very, very much. He has gifted a LCFC LTiDtv membership. I'm not sure how they work. Hopefully he can tell me that, but somebody may be the recipient of that. I do not know. Look, Kate, you can get away, I've written down here, with maybe one or two players just being a bit off and making mistakes. But we had too many overall, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was just a mishmash of mistakes throughout that second half. I think even after the first minute, was it Steffi Mabadidi caused a foul? I think he got booked. And that just seemed to be the tone of the second half then. And no one seemed to get a grip of it at all. And it just felt like we were left in the dressing room. It was mistake after mistake. And there wasn't even any conversation on the pitch. There wasn't even any sort of the back half getting together. There was nothing. There was nothing going on to suggest that they had a clue how to get themselves out of this hole. And sometimes that's not all on the manager, because they played between them thousands of football matches, and they will be able to see better than anybody. They've got the best view in the house what was going wrong. And now you either sort it out yourselves or speak to Cooper about it. There was just an acceptance that I didn't like about the performance and the body language, really. Like, even after the third goal, there was no kind of Fast and Nicole shouting at each other. There was no call from Mads. There was nothing going on to say that is unacceptable defending at this level. There was nothing to do. There was none of that. And we used to get that a lot with Casper or with Wes or with Huth. We used to get that quite a lot, and we just aren't having that. I think one of the comments has said there, that missing leader on the pitch. And that fear factor that you don't want to mess up and be the only one to let the team down. It was almost it's almost like you can't beat them, join them in the second half.
It comes down to recruitment and character again. You know, when you go back to Pearson and before that O'Neill or whatever, character of the players was just as much as technical ability and footballing ability, because, as I say, when you're at this level, you can play football. It's all about what else have you got. And character used to get us out of so many. Foxes Never Quit came from the players. You know, it wasn't a marketing thing. It came from the players coming back in so many games and grinding out results. And then all the fans and the media started talking about Leicester, the comeback kings, you know, they never quit. This is it. And then that became almost our motto. That's not the case anymore. And that comes down to character. And that needs to be addressed. You can't just think, right, I'm going to put these because they're really good players in those positions. You've got to look deeper than that and say, right, that it always used to be, didn't it? You had a spine. You had a strong spine of strong leaders and strong characters. One who could talk the rest of the back four through a game. One who would do the same with the midfield and the guy up front, and then keeper. And obviously we had Casper, who was probably the best at it. It's not there now. There's no one there, as you say, to give someone else a bollocking.
Okay, on that second goal, or the third goal, sorry, if that had been Danny Ward, he would have got absolutely crucified for that, wouldn't he?
What, the third goal?
The one where, was it Mad's fault for not coming out or not calling for it? Was it a bad header by Val? I'm
not sure. I mean, I think, to be honest, I don't think if Ward had been in goal, there'd have been any difference in temperament, to be honest, because the ultimate calamity was fast and not dealing with it and letting it bounce. And then for me, it was was
it also a lack of communication between the pair of them?
Yeah, there was, absolutely. That came after, a bit like the JJ comment between me and Craig a minute ago. The JJ mistake came after the initial blunder. The initial blunder should never, ever have happened at this level of football. And he may have called, I don't know, Mads may have called or tried to shout him or something like that, but I didn't see that. But similarly for me, in the order of things, Fast makes the mistake. When you watch as the ball's coming over the top, you watch a Coley's not even got a sprint on to try and help that situation where Woot is one-on-one, really. And then thirdly, I think Mads could also do better in terms of communication. It was just a calamity of errors, really, as how that panned out. But I don't think Danny Ward had been treated any differently, to be honest, because the car crash was Woot.
But I think if Danny Ward had been in goal, Ray says there, Faye's absolutely butchered it. But also, as Brad says, the fan base would have had their pitchforks out if it was Ward in goal. And that's the thing. I don't think nobody would have necessarily been really picked. Well, no, I'm talking about...
it's a bit apples and pears, isn't it? Because Mads has made some tremendous saves this season. And even in that game, Forrest could have gone too clear and he made another excellent save. I'm not quite sure.
You know what it's like when fans don't like a player? I mean, he saved 3 penalties, but it was only against a third-tier team.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I just think, in my opinion, that's a moot point for this discussion, because he wasn't in goal. He would never have been in goal because Mads is fit, and for me, the keeper was the last part of that discussion of catalogue of errors. It was Woot and Coley not sorting it out.
That put me in my place, didn't it? I want to talk to each of you now. Told you, I'm bloody upsetting you again. I'll tell you. I don't know if I dare ask you any more questions now, Kate. I do love it when she's bossy, though, Craig.
It's black or it's white. There's no grey with me. That's all. That's all it is.
Anyway, any red, or is that just on the videos? Kate did a video for the watch along.
Did you like it?
Yes, but I don't know where you'd got this red light going on.
I was in the car. I was in the car in front. I was stuck in traffic. I nearly missed bloody kickoff. The traffic was a nightmare. And then the car in front kept putting its brake lights on. So I looked like I was going on a Halloween party.
You didn't. You looked like you were out on the street corner looking for business.
Oh, yeah, all that. Yeah, I was in Amsterdam, really. That's where I was, yeah.
I tell you what, I did a thing on the radio this morning. There was a model on OnlyFans that's retired after making £67 million in about 5 years. So
bloody hell.
I know.
Right. No, it's like your skin, Chris.
Hang on. No, better not. I want to ask each of you here about one player in particular. So, and then I want to get onto the team. So I'm going to go with one with Kate that I know she's going to agree with me with for once, because we already mentioned it. I learn up here, you know. I don't get bitten twice in this show. My arse is still sore. But I'm going to stick first of all, Craig. We mentioned him before. That's another show, another time. But Mr. Soumaré, what the was going on there? I mean, people were saying they're putting him in the shop window. Well, it's like, you know, if you're putting him in the shop window, you pull the blind down. I mean, what?
It's like putting 10-day-old mince in the window, isn't it? You know.
Yes. I mean, he did have one half-decent run when he went past 2 or 3 players, but surely at that point, and the bench wasn't that particularly strong, I don't think. Yeah, the starting team was good, but at that point, when you've got, whether you like him or hate him, you've got Edouard on the bench who was a striker. Shouldn't he have been coming on? Tell me, talk to me about Soumaré.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, he wouldn't have been on the bench for me. This comes down to the fact of, why is Alves not on the bench? Well, I'm not saying Alves would have done any different, but
no.
People who can change a game when you need them to change a game or see a game out. I'm not sure where Soumaré fits. You can't play Soumaré for 10 minutes every 3 weeks, you know, and expect him to come on and change a game. He was awful. I've not marked him as low as Ayew because Ayew deserves to have the worst mark. But he didn't do anything positive. But again, I'm going to blame the manager for it, because I don't know what the thinking was. Okay, he should never have been on the pitch, but he should have offered more when he did. Having said that, you know, he did some really, really good fouling. You know, fouling's a thing. You know, it was good at that.
And they are chucking out the fouls. I love it.
Could you call it, do you think, breaking up play?
We need 2
goals.
We need goals. I know. This is what I
agree.
Yeah, this is my biggest thing, is about the in-game stuff that goes on. I don't understand it at all. As you very eruditely put it, you know, what's the question that gives the answer? Soumaré. You know, and if you're going to do it,
I do think of that song now you've said that. That's Soumaré.
Yeah, it's in your head. It's in your head.
But yeah, he did that. He did that one thing that, you know, the getting the ball and driving through, and that should have been it. Get the ball, just drive forward with it, attract players to you, lay it off. But I don't know what he. But I'm not sure what instructions players are taking out onto the pitch with them. You know, what was Ayew's instruction? Stand there, look gormless, get the ball, have 5 touches, give it back. That must have been the instructions. Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise, I don't know what the instructions they come onto the pitch with.
And you say I'm harsh, Chris. Bloody hell. Me and Craig are so akin.
I tell you what, it's Halloween. Something's so in here. I just want to say, Easy, you can't blame the keeper.
Gordon and I was watching this thinking, bloody hell, he's counting me out.
I know. I noticed we just dropped one watcher. I think that was the Soumaré's just gone. But Easy, you've said here you can't blame the keeper for the mistakes of other players. Fans were doing Danny Ward all the time. I will still say, don't matter how good your goalkeeper is, if the defence in front of you is shit, the goalkeeper is shit. But that's just me. Kate made a mistake.
Sorry. I'm going to sit back and enjoy this one now.
Yes. Buenete, look, he's a talent. And, if a team like Brighton can let him go and still finish, still be sort of in the top 6 or 7, my God, Brighton should be winning something this season. But look, to me, he was at fault for the first goal. And after that, he should have been, and we've mentioned this post-match, didn't we? To my mind, he should have been just taken off. He was trying, and bless him, he was trying to make up for that mistake. But I'm not saying it cost us the game, but he was more concerned about him and making up for that than actually being part of a team and passing the ball to other players that were wearing blue.
Yeah, it was that ideal leadership scenario again, wasn't it? Where you'd want someone on the pitch to put their arm around him and say, forget it. It's done. It's over. Pick it up. You've saved us so many times this season already. Just shake it off and continue as you are. Don't lose your head. He lost his head a bit, really. He was running around like a headless chicken. And I did feel like at times we were playing with 10 men because I thought he was really poor. But again, quite early on in the game, I thought he should have been hooked. And again, that's on Cooper, really, to think what are you doing? Why have you not brought him off and put El Canouse on, who would be fresher, clear of mind, and arguably is just as skillful, to be honest. He seemed to put in a really good shift the week before. There was an option there for Cooper to do that, and he didn't take it. And Buenanotte just needed a break from that moment. But yeah, like I said, I think that might be why Brighton have loaned him out. He's not the full article yet. He's a bit like Riyad in ways. Like, he's skillful. He's probably the most skillful player since Riyad that we've had. But other parts of Riyad's game were quite weak as well. Defensively, you were never going to rely on him. He just made up for it because the bright spark he gave up front. So yeah, Buenanotte's probably similar, but yeah, he did run around like a headless chicken a bit, really.
Funny enough, one of the stories on Leicestershire Live today, El Canouse joined for 20 million in the summer, but has only started 2 of the 8 matches he's been eligible for, and he's yet to make a significant impact in blue. Leicester City transfer fee draws questions, but Steve Cooper insists Star should have no shame. Well, there you go. Right, now that we're all friends again, what we're going to do is go through the team. Now, I have got up here, I used to do this with Brad, I've got up here the ratings that Jordan Blackwell, who's obviously the main LCFC correspondent for the Mercury, Leicestershire Live, has given his ratings. And what I want to see is you two. I want to see you not say, he's given 6, so I'm going to give 6. I want you to be honest here.
And I've written down already.
Good. So I want to see some comparisons.
Your bit of paper is like mine. I've written it over here on the back of some.
There's a shortage of
list, Craig. That does.
Yeah, it's basically a couple of Rizzlers sellotaped together. And I don't even smoke. You on. I wondered why I'd got loads of Rizzlers around. I found a use for them.
I'm going to say he's really put a lot of work into this, hasn't he?
Very similar to yourself, although what you've got lying around is a load of Razzles.
Yes, and thank you for sending them to me.
You're welcome.
Next time, can you make sure I can open the pages, please?
See, I wasn't even going to go there, Chris.
No, you weren't, but you knew I would. You knew I would. You couldn't. That's like lobbing a ball over to me in front of an open goal and expecting me not to go for it.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Can I just say hello?
About your bumhole, Chris. Let's move on from your razzles.
I want to say hello to your mother, Mrs. Blakey. She apparently. Hello, mother.
She'll be very disappointed.
Not annoyed, not angry. Just very disappointed. Look, we'll do it straight after this. That is coming back, by the way. True fans down the pub. It's going to be revamped and coming to you in a slightly different style. So get ready for that. It's going to be a little bit different. Easy's already getting his marks in for Faz. Rizzlers didn't need sellotape, just the lick. Rizzles or razzles? Oh, no, let's not go there.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about here?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm just going through. I'm just going through
licking.
comments here. Yes, Rizzles didn't need. I will go with that. No. Shall we move on? Right. So, got Jordan Blackwell. We'll let ladies go first. I'll do Kate Blakey and we'll do Craig.
Are we doing subs as well, Chris?
Yes, I think we should.
Good.
I think we should, because I just want to see what you're giving Sumari. Right, Mad to Manson. Now, Kate, you and me had him down as our man of the match.
Yeah. I'm still not backing away from that.
No. Nor am I. I was hoping you might give me a score, to be honest.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, it was a bit tough because whilst I think he saved our skin a couple of times, he did an amazing save. I think he wasn't quite on it, so I've given him a 6.
You've given him a 6. Well, I just chucked my notes out the window there. They're not worth keeping. Craig.
I've not given him my man of the match.
Oh, fair enough.
But I've also given him a 6 as well. I think overall, it was a strong performance. Let down by people around him. I don't think apart from the one amazing save, I don't think he made any saves that you wouldn't have expected him to make. And I think a couple of times he could have been a bit quicker releasing the ball. Sometimes, again, a quick throw out from the keeper can set the team, almost forces the team to go forward rather than wait until they get in possession. And I'd like to see that sometimes from him, of just restarting the game a bit quicker. But solid 6.
I'm just looking at some of these scores that Jordan's given, and I don't think you two are going to agree a lot with him. Jordan has said, produced an out-of-the-world reflex save to deny Dominguez at close range in the first half and keep the game level. That's another one for the highlight reel. Could have done better for the third Forest goal, ? It's perhaps harsh to suggest so. And like I say, he has given him a 7. Right, the player we all wanted back. Ricardo, Kate.
I've given him a 6 as well.
Give him a 6.
I've given him a 5. I thought he was okay for his first game back. He just wasn't at the levels that we've seen Ricardo in the past. But then you'd expect that. So it's not a bad 5. It's almost like an expected 5 when the people around you are not particularly helping you out.
A 5.3. Is that what you're trying to say there, Craig? Now, Jordan has given him a 6. He said he's looked comfortable in his midfield role and linked really well with Winks, playing first-time passes to get City on the move. Defensively, Hudson-Odoi didn't trouble him too greatly, but Ricardo did look rusty when it came to sprinting back. Right, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to read out Jordan's first, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to dread this because we're coming up to Vout phase. He gets a 5 off Jordan Blackwell, which some people may say is a little bit generous. He says, with Acola defending really well, it felt like there was limited work for Faze to do, bar passing into midfield, which he did well. But for the third Forest goal, he was all at sea with Wood's strength and movement forcing an error that the Kiwi then capitalised on, and he's given him a 5. Kate.
Jog on. No chance. 3.
Oof. Well, hang on. And not
just because of the goal, because that happened, but he was just wandering all match. He needs to be on a leash at times.
I don't know about you, Craig. Have you got a cricket box handy spare at all? Might need it by the end of this.
Well, I might do when I give him my score.
Go on, Craig. Is he
man of the match, 8. No, I've given him a 5. I thought 5 was a bit high based on what you said. So I thought if I go higher, I'll just reel it in. I'll get away with it.
The same as Ricky P.
I have, in terms of, I thought he was okay. I thought he was okay, particularly first half. And I think aerially he was pretty solid and he was crunching into tackles or whatever. But you're right, that does he does come with that, almost like I get bored. But sometimes I think there's so little movement in front that he's almost gets exasperated and it's like, right, I'm going to take the bloody ball, or I'm going to run. I'm going to run and do it because you lot are not moving. There's nothing.
Yeah.
We were really static in front of the back four, I thought, for a lot of that game. So I can understand it a little bit. So I've given him, a generous 5.
A generous 5. I'll put a G next to it for generous. I feel like, Top Gear, the cool wall.
Yeah.
Not quite ice cold. I'll put him there. Now, Coley, I didn't like him when I was watching pre-season, but like I've said, there's nobody impressed me really during pre-season. But he has been, I think, formed a really good partnership with FaZe. Jordan says he was excellent in the first half. He stepped in well to pinch the ball and his positioning was spot on, meaning he was regularly in the right place to clear crosses and avert danger. But he wasn't tight enough to Wood for the second goal, allowing him the half a second he needed to turn and score. But he has given him a 7. Kate. Oh, God.
But how can you do that summary? You're not tight enough on your attacker and he has scored because of that. How do you then give a 70% rating? That's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm giving him a 5.
You're giving him a 5. Can I just say that this is Jordan Blackwell, and Brad will be having kittens at this because he remembers that is exactly what Jordan Blackwell does. His actual marks bear no resemblance whatsoever with his description of the player. So if you try to match the two things together, Kate, don't bother. Stop now. But you've given him 5. Craig.
I've given him a 5 as well. I thought first off he was solid, he was aggressive, which I like, and he was nipping in and getting the ball, but then he just suffered from the same malaise that everyone else did in the second half, where I don't know. I think you talked about 70%. I think 70% of these players came out, to be honest, and left their 30% of their ability in the dressing room because they just weren't on it second half. So that took him down for me. He was disappointed because I thought first half he was dealing with Chris Wood pretty well and was looking really aggressive. And Chris Wood was getting a little bit exasperated himself, to be honest, moaning at the ref quite a few times because the ref wasn't giving him free kicks. And Okoli was getting quite physical with him. So yeah, 5.
And let's be honest as well, we've got to give, again, Chris Wood. I liked him when he was at Leicester. I think it was just unfortunate that he was here just as Jamie Vardy was breaking through. But he is the third highest goal scorer, or joint third highest goal scorer in the Premier League. He is getting. It was Steve Cooper that wanted him and couldn't get a tune out of him. But Nuno, whatever he's doing, giving him his Weetabix or whatever.
I think one of the telling stats to come out of the weekend was when they were talking about Chris Wood being Nottingham Forest's second highest Premier League goal scorer of all time, now that he's on 22. Yes. I think. And then you look at Vardy, who's on 130 something or whatever.
I think that kind of was a double-edged compliment, wasn't it, really? Yeah. Anyway, James Justin. Oh, God. It was a really poor attempt at clearance for the Yates opener, and he was punished for it. Defensively, he wasn't too shabby after that, but when he moved, he wasn't at all effective. And he gets a 5 from Jordan Blackwell. Katie?
Yeah, that's what I've given him as well, a 5. I didn't think he was on it again, but I didn't think it was a car crash performance, and I didn't think he was the root of a lot of the problems, to be honest, like a lot. That sounds really harsh on him, but that side of play wasn't the root of the problems for us on Friday.
Craig?
You got a 4 from me.
Yeah.
I know. I'd say I do really like JJ. The JJ I like, though, is the one who's playing with confidence and is decisive and aggressive and wants to get forward and
Yeah.
I just didn't see that. And again, that may be because of the players around him, that they're not playing with enough confidence that if they go forward, the gaps will be plugged in behind, because they're not, as someone else put a comment on earlier tonight, that we've conceded the most number of shots of any team this season. So I think that sort of affects your performance, and you're a bit scared to go forward. So I just thought that hampered his game a little bit, and I think that mistake sort of played on him as well. So again, maybe a little bit harsh, but a 4.
I mean, the "ooh" came from the woman who gave somebody a 3. Moving on. Oh, God, help me with this one. Please, God, help me.
Oh, I know what's coming. I know what's coming.
You're on your own here with this one with her, Craig. The pantomime villain, the Halloween howler, whatever you want to call him, Wilfred Ndidi. He did all of the basics well, passing with composure and into the right areas, and driving into space when it was afforded to him. He perhaps didn't disrupt the opposition's play as much as he has done in recent weeks. I'm surprised at this, but then I'm very much on Kate's side of the fence when it comes to Wilfred Ndidi. But he gets a 7. Okay.
I've given him a 5.
Oh.
No, because I don't think he did anything particularly badly, but everything what Craig's just said there about JJ, not having good enough people around him, not having an outlet, not being encouraged to move forward for 1-2s and overlaps and passing through the middle of the park, is all because Wilfred Ndidi is not good enough in that role. It hampers every single position, including JJ.
Who would you have instead of him then?
Skip.
So you would have Skip. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. And I'm not going to say for the next game, because it's a cup game. It's going to be completely different. We know, for example, the goalkeeper will be changed, etc. So there's no point in us even thinking about that.
He didn't do anything overly wrong or anything on Friday. I do find him, just generally, aside from the skill set, I do find there's a casualness about him now. He's constantly jogging. I don't think I've seen him sweat yet. I don't see him bursting into the box to give us opportunities and flooding the box to help us when we're on the ascendancy. And similarly, I don't see him tracking back at a rate of knots like we're used to either. I find he just almost John Barnes it and covers the centre circle, and that's about all he's interested in. And we need more than that. Yeah.
Craig?
I actually gave him a 6, to be honest. I thought, particularly, again, most of my marks, I think, are first half. Because I thought he was trying to
really turn up for that one.
Yeah.
I thought we really turn up for 45 minutes anyway, don't we?
I thought he was I thought he played okay, and he was more disruptive than anyone else in there, probably got more tackles in than anyone else in there. And he was trying to make some of those runs in behind for Abdul. But again, they sort of dried up, didn't they? The whole forward momentum sort of dried up, and then again, you talked about him, jogging around most of it. Again, is it another player who's just playing his contract through? He got another year contract or whatever. Happy days. I've got another year contract. I'm raking the money, and where's my?
You got another 3. Will.
Pardon? Oh yeah, he did. Sorry, yeah. So again, it's like my career. I'm sorted now. And is there too much of this? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, because you can't give them short contracts because they end up leaving for nothing. But anyway, I digress. But I thought he was okay, and he was covering quite a lot of ground in the first half. And
you may have noticed that I'm actually not giving scores here. I'm just letting you two battle it out.
Yeah.
You have noticed Harry Winks. He was brilliant in the first half. He spread play well and was the heart of all City's promising attacking moves, including for the goal. But where he broke out of midfield and delivered the cross provided to finish. Sorry, I've got my grammar mixed up then. But a sloppy ball was punished by Wood for Forest's second, and he made a few bad passes after that too. But he still gets a 7. Kate.
I gave him a 6. I thought he did have a really good first half.
Yes, he did.
I think that is massively, that first half is something that Cooper needs to look at, and that's what we need to build on for sure. And Winks was a massive part of that, and obviously he was the complete creator for the goal. His run was absolutely exceptional, and it shows what happens off the back of Craig's point there, what happens when you have a bit of movement, a bit of pass and go. Wanted the ball back off Mavididi. We're through the lines and we were through. It's probably one of the first times in the first half that we got through their front four. Their front four were excellent, really excellent. They did such a good job hemming us in. But yeah, second half, I don't think anybody came out smelling the roses, did they?
No. Craig?
I gave him a 5, and that's probably from disappointment of knowing that he could have given more. I think that goal, he did it once, and that's my biggest issue. Yeah. That he was receiving the ball in there so many times and he didn't turn. He didn't receive it on the half turn, or he wasn't aware of what was around him. They were creating space that he could have turned so many times and he didn't. And I was really disappointed in him because he's better than that. And the one time that they did it, he followed the ball, he passed it, he followed it, and he went again. Once in a game from a player of that level isn't enough for me. And that's why it's not necessarily a 5 based against everyone else. It's based on what we know that he can achieve. And I wanted more from him, to be honest.
Always want more, Craig. You're never satisfied, are you?
Craig, you're so greedy.
Yeah. Now we've got a Forest fan in, and Barry is in. I tell you what, he knows his onions.
Hey,
thank you. Forest fan here. Hope you guys stay up, and I think you will. Cheers, Barry. And I have to say, well done for Friday, mate. You were the better team, and you deserved it. Abdul, Mr. Fatawu, got his start. He didn't live up to the big billing, says Jordan. His decision-making at the top end wasn't great, and he didn't get past Marino all that often, meaning there was very little in the way of end product from the Ghanaian. And he's been given a 5 from Jordan. Kate, how many does he get off you?
That's what I gave him as well. I gave him a 5. Yeah, he was disappointing. Frustratingly, that when Forest were in defence, I've said previously that they were quite narrow, and he just didn't ever go round the outside and run to the byline and cut back like we saw against Southampton, which was the first goal, how we scored the first goal. And it was just disappointing that he kept doing the same thing over and over and expecting different things. And that's.
But then should Cooper not be pulling him aside or getting a message to him to?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. He may well have done, I don't know. But also Fatawu should know, being on that pitch, that cutting inside in that first half consistently when he was running into trouble each time, try something else, mate. He's played enough games. He's not a child. He's played hundreds of football matches and he should know better. But that was always why I had reservations about him starting in previous games.
You are. Kate is taking no prisoners tonight, is she?
But that's why I had reservations anyway, because you need to manage him and manage his play, because he's so excitable and he wants to score a worldie every other match, every other ball that he receives. So he can't do that, and he needs to just be better at decision making.
Do you think that's okay? I'll just stick with you for this one. Do you think then that's why he's not starting that many games, and that's what Cooper's trying to do?
Yeah, I think so. Like when you look at Branagh, the side issue from Friday night's performance, but Branagh has got 50 games under his belt and they're the same age, and you can see the difference in maturity of how they approach games. I just think Fatawu, he does need to keep plugging away at minutes, but I think maybe 90 minutes of Prem football this year, or certainly this part of the season, is a bit of a far fetch. He needs to come on against tired legs, build his confidence, and get better at those decision making.
Easy, and this is something I noticed, Easy and Craig. Fatawu did get doubled up on a lot of the time, so they did nullify him out. But
yeah, that was narrow though. They doubled up against him against Southampton, and he beat both of them because he went round.
Yeah, fair point.
And they were so chocker in the middle. Forest were.
Fair point, Kate. Fair point. Are you going to make it a hat trick of 5s, Craig?
No. Abdul, abject, 4.
Ooh. Explain.
Such a headline that is, Craig.
He works
Must
for
be
the
why I'm
Sun
in
on the
marketing.
side, you know.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Again, learn. You know, it doesn't take you long to realise as soon as I get the ball, there's 2 on me. I look for a 1-2, or as you say, go around the outside, make something else happen. I would have loved him to see him just demand someone to play a little 1-2 with him, you know, whether it was with Jamie or whatever, and be telling Jamie, you know, be responsible enough. It doesn't matter how old you are, because you see other players, you know, trying to demand more and better of their teammates. Let's look for a 1-2. If they're doubling up, you take 2 out of the game with a little 1-2 or whatever. But to keep doing the same thing and then not do your defensive work as well was just, I thought it was really, really poor. And to not try anything different. So, yeah, 4 from me. Poor.
4, right. Well, Easy has said he'd like to see Mavididi rating. You're going to have to wait a bit, because next it's Buenete. His direct dribbling and close control meant he was the best of City's attacking players. The Argentinian looking dangerous around the box, but he lost the ball in the build-up to the Forest first and let frustration get the better of him in the second period. I don't think he should even have a 6, and that's what Jordan's given him. I was very, very disappointed in him. And yet Alan, who also, as you know, goes to all the matches and picks my man of the match and team rating, actually picked him as his man of the match. But I think he flattered to deceive in this game, Kate.
Buonanotte. Man of the match.
Sorry, I thought you were having to go at me then. I'm absolutely
shit. To make sure I was on the right player. Flipping heck.
I sorry, you were then. I thought you were going to have a go at me, and I'm like, I need to get that commode as soon as possible.
No,
Alan did go for. Sorry, Alan did go for Brunetta. Yes,
that's surprising. What did Jordan score him? Sorry, 6.
6.
Bloody hell. I gave him 4. He's crazy.
To be honest with you, I thought he was picking something up off the floor. I think he's in hiding.
He got found out a little bit, didn't adjust, didn't try a different method, got a bit unhinged with the error and didn't really recover from it, running around like a blue-ass fly, really. Running around like a blue-ass fly, and I thought way before he needed to come off.
Yeah. 4 now. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be interesting. In fact, I think this deserves to be full screen. Go on, Craig. What did you give Renette? Go on, Craig.
I gave him a 7.
What?
Because even to his detriment, where we conceded a goal, everything he tried was positive. And that's what I'm basing that on. Everything he did was positive. Trying too much, trying to close down. He's a young kid who doesn't even play for us, yet he was showing much more heart and desire than the rest of the team. And it's not even his club. So, yeah, he wasn't as good on the ball as he had been, but he gave everything for me. And you describe it as running around like a blue-ass fly. I see it as trying to win the ball back as high up the pitch as possible and then trying to do something positive with it when he had it. And I didn't see anyone else doing it.
I agree with that. I do agree with that interpretation.
It didn't result in anything, but he gave everything.
What it did result in, Craig, it resulted in him in giving the ball away a lot.
Yeah, but I just referenced that at the very start of it, because he was trying to be positive with it and he didn't, and it's a stupid mistake that hopefully he will learn from. But after that and before that, he was the only one who was trying anything positive, and he looks to get on the ball all the time. A lot of players making that mistake would have hidden or would have not wanted the ball again. And he didn't. He doesn't go hiding. He wants the ball. He wants to win the ball back if he gives it away. And if we saw the rest of that level of commitment from the rest of the team, I don't think we would have had the performance that we had in the second half.
Welcome.
That's my justification for it.
No. Look, football's about opinions, and you are very much entitled to your opinion. All I've got to say, of course, though, is
you're wrong.
And you know what's coming, don't you?
Your opinion is wrong.
But Doug has actually probably done what you've just done to Brunette and given him a gift. He has also donated a month's free membership to somebody as well. Thank you very much, Doug. You are a gentleman. Wayne, cracking banter this evening. Indeed. Again, see, I'm going to blame Cooper here because Cooper should have actually said, "Great, what you're doing, but pass the ball." That's just me. I admire what he's doing, and like you say, he showed a lot more passion probably than a lot of the players. But
I show a lot of passion though, but I'm shit at football.
Nobody's disagreeing with you. but what I'm saying is, how often do you do the same thing? What's the definition of stupidity? Keep doing the same thing.
Insanity.
Insanity.
Doing the same thing over again and expecting different results.
The thing is, and I think that's a fair point. When the others around you are doing bugger all, you can either choose to do bugger all, or you can try and get stuck in and affect the game in some way. And I feel that's what he tried to do.
No, look, Craig, you know, fair point. You've given him 7, and you know
that's why I was trying to hide.
At least your description matches your score.
Thanks.
Work that out. Right, Easy's been waiting for this one. Mavrididi. Anya stopped him early on, and so Mavrididi stopped attempting to dribble past him from then on. His link-up play was okay when he got on the ball, but he just wasn't involved that much. 5 from Jordan Blackwell. Kate.
Yeah, I've gone for the same actually, and I do agree with Jordan's comment there. I said exactly the same thing at the match, and I compared him to a certain Harvey Barnes, that if he doesn't lick his man at first attempt, he gives up. And that's exactly what Harvey used to do. If he hasn't got the skin of you after the first run at you, he's not bothered, not interested. And Mavrididi was very similar on Friday night. He didn't keep hammering at it, draw the foul, get a booking, do something, just keep going at it. You can't just throw the towel in after one attempt. And yeah, it was very disappointing. He still looked lively though for me. He obviously helped the link-up play for the goal. He still looked lively, and there's always that potential he can do something. But yeah, it wasn't one of his better games on Friday. But whose was on that second half?
At the moment, I'm guessing Brunette is your man of the match so far, Craig. Unless Mavrididi's going to somehow get an 8. But with your scoring tonight, that's completely possible.
I gave him a 5 as well. I thought he was a little bit more positive than you thought, Kate. And again, he spent a lot of that second half down in front of where I'm sitting, and he looked exasperated a few times as well. I think I've used that word a lot tonight. Because of how slow we were in getting the ball out to him. The same with Fatu. When you doubled up, get the ball out to them quicker before they can get back in, and that gives them an opportunity to go one-on-one. I still think he tried to beat his man a few times, but let's not forget, this is a decent team that we're against as well. And Ina's a decent fullback, to be honest, who's sharp as well.
You said he looked exasperated. Was he talking to anyone about that? Was he?
He was looking across and looking for people to come to him early. So he looked more like he was interested in playing little 1-2s or whatever. But if you would play the ball back, it would go back again. It's almost like, okay, well, as soon as the first player plays the ball back, we'll regroup. So we'll go all the way back. He could have done more, but I think he got a little bit disillusioned as well. But he offered more than Abdul, and that's why I gave him a 5.
Yeah. Just saying then, it is Doug very kindly gifted a membership as well. and it has gone to Newcastle fan Geordie Toon for Life. Gets a month's free membership there. If anybody doesn't want to wait for a free one, and thank you to Doug and to Brad for donating those, it's $1.99 a month. You can always just sign up for it. The last of the starters, Jamie Vardy. A lovely run and a deft touch got him yet another goal. The striker surprisingly surpassing his tally from the relegation season already, but unfortunately no other chances fell his way. When he dropped deep to link play, he did fairly well. Now, he gets a 6 from Jordan Blackwell. Can I just say, in fairness, that we were only 2 teams, and maybe this was what Jamie Carragher was referring to. There's only 2 teams in the Premier League that have scored in every single game: Manchester City and Leicester City. We had 1 shot or on target all 98 odd minutes that we played. How can you justify, I'm not blaming Jamie for this, but I just think that's disgusting. 6 for him from Jordan. Kate, where are you going with that?
Yeah, I've gone with the same, actually. I even thought about giving him a 7, to be honest, because there was just nothing. He got no service, and the only time he was called upon, he scored. And there's nothing you can do. You can't say fairer than that in terms of what Jamie can do and the effectiveness he can have on the pitch. I always think his link-up play is excellent. He's very positive in how he plays his game. He wins balls. He does lovely layoffs. I think Jamie's just an underrated, world-class player that people have just forgotten about and remembered how good he is now he's back in the Prem. So I thought this performance was no different to the usual kinds of games we see when he lacks service. And yeah, I thought he did a great job. The goal was excellent, and he could be 27, not 37. He beat the defender, got his toe to it, job done. So he showed that he's still got the hunger, desire, and ability to always be in the right position if he's called upon. But like Craig said, if you're going to pass backwards and then backwards again and then sideways there's not a lot you can do.
Yeah. So is it a 7? Sorry, you've given him?
Yeah, let's give him a 7.
7.
That's
why not? Let's just give him 7, Craig, say last of the starters, Jamie Vardy scored the goal. You just let Jamie Vardy, you let him off training all week, turns up at the ground, you give him a couple of Red Bulls and just let him do his thing.
Yeah, I gave him a 6 as well, to be fair. I thought he did as much as he could with the service he was getting, which was pretty pitiful, to be honest. But he looked like he was up for the game. He was trying to close people down. He did what he could do, and probably a little bit more so in this game than he has done in some others. He looked up for it. So a 6, and as you say, right place at the right time. Make sure you get in front of your defender and score a goal. You can't ask much more from a striker. So 6, I think, is fair.
Totally. We'll be back and we'll do the 3 subs after this.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel now and make sure you never miss another upload. Leave a like now. Ring the bell and never miss another video.
Now, this could get really, really interesting here. I think I need to go and get my hard hat ready to hide under the table. We're going to start with El Canoes, because that's just the way Jordan's done it. Made decent runs at time, but then was isolated. It didn't really make a difference in attack. And he's got a 5. Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I'd agree with his comments as well. Wasn't effective, but at the same time, he was the type of player that looked to spare part because we were just not getting it to that kind of area of the field at all.
Yeah. Craig?
I gave him a 4, but that's mainly just because of how long he was on, to be honest. He wasn't really given an opportunity to affect it. I think he would have been more effective going out on the left. I know it's not his position, but at least he's got quick feet that would have, and he's more intelligent in his movement, which I think would have caused more of a problem for Forest than putting the training cone out there. So yeah, I gave him a 4, and I think
you have a go at me for being harsh. Craig someone 10-day-old mince and a training cone. And I'm on.
But he's a grumpy old man. You're not. You're a
Never
polite
grumpy.
young lady.
I'm never grumpy. Anyway, 4. But 4. I mean, I like him. I think he's just taking time to adjust. But put him in a position where he can affect the game, not that where he's going to be stifled in the middle of it.
No, fair point. Fair point. What was that? That comedy show, the American comedy show, about 2 old men showing.
Narrow it down a bit, Chris.
Sorry,
Narrow it down a bit. The American comedy show.
two men lived together in a flat in New York, and they didn't get on very well, but they were best friends. Not grumpy old men.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna. If anybody knows, stick it in the chat.
Talk to me about Starsky and Hutch, and I'll be with you.
Indeed. Oh, I used to love that. Love it.
Yeah.
God, here we go. Jordan, are you? Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Ray. Ray, The Odd Couple.
I want to hear what Jordan had to say.
Yeah, same.
What about himself? Well, oh God.
Jordan Blackwell says anything positive in this paragraph.
I don't read this.
He was fit. He's got 2 feet. He came on. He ran on all right.
I've got him here. Made an amazing difference when he came on.
Now you're lying. You're lying.
Oh, your word.
You're lying. I know you're lying.
Should have started, and he's given him an 8.
We can tell you're lying because your mouth's moving.
How very dare you, sir? How very dare you? Gave away fouls and didn't make City any more threatening. A shame after his winner last week. He gets a 4.
Is that it? It was 3 sentences and that's it.
That's worth a 4.
I'm going to say I think that's going to be quite a high mark. Kate.
I've given him a 4. He was just flipping heck. He was asleep. He came on asleep. I don't know whether he'd had a sleeping tablet or what, but he was absolutely dreadful. I feel like 4's a bit generous, to be fair.
Do you think that Jamie had all his Red Bulls?
Maybe, but we've seen him come on before, and he's been okay. And I think Jordan's took a bit of stick this season, unnecessarily for me. I think he's actually shown some good qualities that have been useful, but on Friday night it was useless.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, pretty much like you described there, Kate. I've given him a point for coming on and a point for going off. So 2. 2.
2.
You've given him 2.
A 2.
What else? What did he do?
You know what? I feel like change mine to 2. If Prey's going all out, I'm going all out.
Oh, no. I've written it down now. I can't possibly change it.
Well, you can. You just cross through it with the biro you've got in your hand and write another number next to it.
No, because I said I didn't want you just going agreeing with each other. I wanted your honest assessment.
I tell you what, I could have walked out of the stand, stood where he was, and been as effective. You know,
Please
I'd have
do
got
that
a 3.
next time. Just stand
I'd have
on the
got a
pitch.
3.
You know,
Yeah.
like that guy that used to pose next to the Man U teams when they used to walk out.
do
You
that.
could be like that. Go on in all your kit.
Yeah. Because I can control the ball. And I
Are
can
you
pass
on
it
your
backwards.
back?
Yeah. 2.
Deux points.
Yeah. I feel a little generous as well. So
Stop feeling it. You're on camera. Put it down.
Jordan Blackwell has got a lot to learn how to score players. I tell you now.
yes.
You wouldn't believe it's his job, would you? And lastly, thank God, Damare had one excellent surge. Then again, I know the feeling. Also had one excellent surge through midfield before he was tripped. But otherwise, he got wrapped up in the chaos of City's second half play, picking up the same positions as Winks with no link between the pair. I think
7.
a very generous 5 off Jordan.
I've
Kate's
given him
now
4.
thinking, can she go as low as 1?
I'm going for 4. I'm going with Jordan. Him and Jordan both got 4. Poor, just poor. And some of that, to be honest, is a lot because the sentiment when he came on already gave him a low score. As I've already said, like whatever the question was, how is Samara the answer? And it was just, I know my mate who went, he sat the next stand to me. He said a guy in front saw him come on and was just like, that's me done. And he went, left the ground. Like what was the point in that substitution? What a waste of a substitution.
Craig.
Anyway, I'll get off the fence now.
Yes. Don't hold back, Kate. Don't hold back. You let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go.
I
I
think
love
the
that.
only
The highlight was that he ran through the middle and got fouled. That's when you know you've had a sick game. That's Jordan.
Let it go.
Kate, it wasn't a run, it was a surge. Yeah.
Have you had your surge today?
Oh yeah. The only time that
It's early, really, isn't it?
the only time there's a question
I
that
thought you were going to say the
Samari,
only time I have a surge.
no, the only time that there's a question that Samari is the answer to is, what can I do with these letters MARESOU when I'm playing Scrabble? That's the only time Samari is the answer. Okay.
10-day mints. 10-day mints.
3, because I can't give him as low as I
You
use.
got to laugh, haven't you? She'll cry, really.
Yeah.
I'm doing both here.
Yeah.
We're doing this every week.
You got 50% more than Jordan then on your scoring, Craig.
Yeah.
Well, can I
That
just
was
say...
that was all because
That was
of the
the surge.
surge.
The surge, yeah.
Yeah.
He did
To be
something
honest,
positive.
when he does run with the ball, sometimes you do
Yeah.
think there's a player in there.
Definitely. And you
I
want to
don't
see
know how
more of
you
it.
can make it come out of him.
Yeah, no, it's like old Yaya Toure or whatever. Well,
Yeah.
how Yaya Toure would play now at 48 or whatever. But there's definitely a player there, but we've not been able to get it out of him. So he might as well just ship him off, to be honest.
Sell him, yeah. Get rid of the wages as well, like, and also
Yeah.
for his own benefit. Like, I don't like to see particularly younger
No.
players just sit on the bench. It's nothing more frustrating for them. He wants to play football.
Yeah. So
Well,
anyway,
I have
there
to
we go.
say,
3.
looking at those results, Jordan came out on top 5 times. And between Kate and Craig, comparing it, Craig, well, Kate managed, she gave top marks 9 times. Craig gave 3. And the others were just draws. Cody, Dakova Reed, Skip, Thomas, Edward. Very quickly, last question for you, first of all, Kate, then the same to you, Craig. Should any of those come on? We had only played 3 subs and we lost the game. I mean, there's 5 subs.
Who was it? Sorry. So we had Edward, Cordova Reed.
Edward, Thomas, Skip, Cordova Reed, and Cody.
I'd have brought Skip on over Samari, to be honest.
Skip
I'm
on
not
over
sure.
Samare, and I'd have brought Edward on over IU. 2 up top,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah.
See what happens. Edward has looked a bit donkey-like at times, but he's a big old unit. He's a good target man, and he's been proven in the Premier League to a degree. So just do it. The plan's to score goals.
Yeah.
Geordie Toon, you missed a belter.
Yeah. It was.
Yeah. I won't ask how you got on at the weekend, Geordie. You'll hate me. Right, Craig, Kate. We're going to do this every week. This has been a laugh. Thank you very much for coming on. I was going to say, are either of you at the match tomorrow? I'm guessing not because it's away.
And it was 42 quid.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, look, come on.
Early round of the cup. 42 quid.
They've got to have a collection. They've got to pay Ten Hag off, haven't they?
Yeah, and they've got to give this new guy, this sporting guy, 3 times his current salary.
I know. Bloody hell.
Yeah, that's very poor timing, isn't it? Very poor timing to get rid of old Eric.
It is.
Is it? Do you think it will make a big
Yes.
difference?
Yeah. We're the team that gets managers sacked.
Well, that
That's
is
our
it. I
job.
just want that to happen.
That's
Actually.
very rude.
Yeah.
Oh, rude.
That's
See what I did
rude.
there? See what I did there?
No,
A very
I wasn't
rude
listening.
Van Nistelrooy.
A very
I'm with
rude
you.
Van Nistelrooy.
I'm with you.
Thanks, Craig. You're on my way.
You're welcome.
Chris, wake up. Come on.
On that note, thank you very much, Kate. How can people find you?
I'm on Twitter or X at Kate Blakey40, and I do the Fans Voice with Chris every other week on the BBC /. So and I did the When You're Smiling podcast last night as well with Owen and Pipe. So have a listen on there to my ramblings.
Somebody did earlier on. Did you see the comment?
No.
It was like 2 minutes into the show. I've got to go back and find it now. While you're doing that, Craig, how can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter X at Craig Bird, and they can also find me nowhere because I don't do anything else.
In the
So I'm
butchers
available.
buying 10-day-old mints.
You got it. You got it. That's me.
You're in the
I am the 10-year-old mince man. 10-year-old, Jesus. 10-day-old mince man.
Oh yeah, they did have Dominic Wells' tactical assessment at the end. Yeah.
What? I'm missing something with this mince.
You missed Craig's
That's
comment
'cause you-
earlier when we were talking about Samare, and he said he was bringing on 10-day-old mints.
Yeah, if you're putting
Sorry.
someone in the window. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
That was it.
Right. Thank you both very, very much. We'll do it all again next week. And cheers. Take care and good luck tomorrow.
Cheers.
Bye.
See you. Bye, Kate. Bye, Chris. Bye, all.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, what a good show. What a good show. Enjoyed that. I'm not sure any Leicester player that was watching in. 2, Craig. 2. He's still there. I can see him. He's in the green room. Honestly, if we wake up tomorrow and Jordan Ayew's hung himself, we'll know why it's down to Craig. And probably Samara, you'll be helping him. We will be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock for the watch along. I'll be joined by Brad and by Wayne, and I've forgotten the other gentleman's name, Joe, I think it is, for the post-match comments. And I will see you then on Thursday for the preview of the Ipswich game. Thank you very much, Craig. Take care, buddy. And Friday for the Prediction League, and Saturday for the next watch along for Ipswich. And I'm going to have 2 games to write about. Ooh, I should be able to fill me 300 words. Thank everybody very much. It says here, so that's what I'll do. Thank you to everybody that was in the chat tonight, and I've got to say thank you very, very much as well to Doug, and thank you very, very much as well to Craig, Doug and Brad, who both donated a membership. Please help me. £1.99 a month. That's all it costs to be a member, and it really does help the channel out. 500 odd quid for the likes of StreamYard and Eve Mux and Canva and all that, just to keep the channel running. $1.99. That's all we ask, and you could get on the show with that as well. Details below. If you've been new, subscribe. If you want to, please like the video as well. That gets us about. It helps our algorithms. It gets us onto people's home pages. And, of course, click that notification bell. You'll never miss another channel. Follow us on all our socials, LTiDtv. And this has been LTiDtv. Thank you all very, very much. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you all tomorrow night for the watch along. Take care. Good night.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.